Hello, Rozalia.
Hi, Katie.
So good to be back with you on Emerging Proud for your second interview. I've been wanting to speak to you again for a long time, just to kind of share with people where you're at with ISEN, and to share some of your wisdom, because I know we keep talking and I keep saying, oh gosh, I should interview you about that. So for those who haven't met you before, you're co-founding director for the International Spiritual Emergence Network and Integral Academy from Budapest tutor and coach, now living in the UK.
Right, in Glastonbury.
In Glastonbury, the Spiritual Central. So yeah, we haven't really planned what we're going to talk about today, just going to go for free flow. But I just wanted to start with something. You just sent me a link earlier to a TED Talk, and said that, you know, it's something that kind of we're really just trying to get to the nuts and bolts of with all of this, really. Do you want to just describe what that was about?
Sure. I really like this TED Talk because it's so much in line with that, what we really think it's important. What this TED Talk is about, I think it's from Robert Waldinger. This TED Talk is about, you know, what makes people happy. I think it's the longest ever research in this topic. I think they followed people's life for 75 years. And the finding is that what makes people not just happy, but healthy as well, is the quality of the human relationships they are having. Mm. And I think we keep talking about the peer support element of, you know, when you're helping people, how important is that? The community and the relationships and how you are perceived by those people around you. Basically, I think they're just your life. You know, that how is their feedback on you, or how they see you, that's going to affect you. You know, like your closest community. So the quality of the relationships is really, really important in making people happy and healthy in their life.
Yeah, that's so fascinating, isn't it? I think, like, you know, we've said before, it's a real grassroots movement because of the you know, no power dynamic. People come together with defenses down, you know, having had already to lose whatever kind of facade or ego structure they might have been managing within the world, because that's all shattered. So we come together at a real kind of heart-to-heart connection, raw and authentic, and sharing at an emotional level. And it's so vital for real, authentic human connection. And that's something that you've done an amazing job of bringing in to ISEN. No, I'm so grateful to you, Rozalia, for introducing me to the Teal movement and helping to found ISEN on a really kind of strong foundation of having this type of human connection at its core, because it's kind of what's made ISEN so strong before we even start, really. And it's made me realise how vital that is for an organisation. So just, in relation to that, I don't know if you want to let people know where we're at the moment, because we've not spoken about ISEN publicly for quite a while. We've been doing quite a lot behind the scenes, but people maybe aren't aware about. Would you like to just update people on where we're at with that?
Sure. I think it's so important to have a very strong foundation for the organization, you know, to be so dedicated on this mission, which is, I think, not an easy mission. That to be really dedicated and be there and keep doing it. Like, it's not a secret, we are all volunteers who are doing this, and we are having our busy lives, and we are really, working as well, and basically devoting our spare time to this, everything we have, to really make this happen, because we believe in it. And I think what makes it really possible is like that we are connecting through our heart space, that we bring our wholeness into our so-called environment, and it's a very virtual environment we are having, because we are connected with people all around the world, and somebody is in Italy, somebody is in Australia, somebody is in the UK, so we are all around the world, and our meeting place is online. And to create this heart space, this connection through the heart space online, probably even a little bit more difficult, but it's possible. It's possible.
Yeah.
So to create a safe space, what we, talk about it, that is so important for people who are going through this personal transformation, that we should also lead by example, that can we create between us. If we can create between us, among us, then, then we can probably be more able to bring it outside to the world, like show how it is. And if I experience it, I believe in it, then probably when I talk about it, probably more, kind of, I don't know what is this word. Oh, it's more credible. Maybe that's the word. So we are working on this foundation, this very strong foundation, on this connection between our members and among our members. And not just the connection between us, but it's also the fundamentals of our relationship between the members, among the members. This is so important. Like, we are creating our basic code of conduct, like ethical standards, what we really believe in, and they are also in line with the TEAL organizational method, that we create a safe space. We let others to come with their wellness, and also to bring over whatever it is at that moment. So we are creating these documents we believe in, and we want to basically build this organization on that. And I think that's probably the most important to make this successful, because we are not planning to do this for 5 years. We are planning to do this till it's succeeding.
Yeah.
And we need a lot of dedication and a strong team. We need a strong team. And we have beautiful people.
Oh,
they are really beautiful.
So blessed with beautiful people. Yeah, I was just thinking, gosh, we're immortal, so we're not planning to do this for 5 years. It's kind of an eternity now. But I was just thinking, leading by example. And gosh, Rozalia, I mean, you've done that so amazingly for the last, how long have we known each other now? 2 years?
Yes.
You have dedicated, I don't know how many of your hours of free time, completely voluntarily, with all of your organisational expertise, to write the documentation, to help lead us into this new teal way of working. And it's not easy, it's easy to say we bring our wholeness, but actually, when we're doing that with other cultures, with other people that we've never met around the world, it takes time, it takes bravery, and it takes an awful lot of effort and kind of, really gently leading people into a new way of being. And you've done that with me, and it's changed me immensely, and I'm so grateful for that. And just you are really leading by example. And I think a lot of people have said, well, what are you doing, because we've spent a lot of time doing this. But I think that will hopefully show when we do start to get out there and You know, we have
Yeah.
now established ways of working. We have protocols in place ready for if when things, you know, will go wrong. We're human, we're all human, they're going to go wrong. So yeah, just having that sense of security with each other as well. It feels amazing to be part of, and it wouldn't exist without you. So I'm so grateful to you to be connected.
Thank you. I think it's so important what you are saying, that it takes time, and to have enough patience for everybody, and trust, you know, that it's going to take time, and we are heading towards that, and it's not going to happen just from one day to another.
Yeah. Especially when everybody in each country are giving their time voluntarily as well. We've had no funding whatsoever in the last couple of years to do this. So, you know, people have been amazingly giving with their time and their expertise. New countries are setting up networks at the moment. So we have networks being established in Italy, Romania, another couple of countries where they weren't before. So yeah, so there's a lot of work that's being done, and it's frustrating. You know, it would be amazing to have thousands and thousands of pounds of resources to create things that people need. And, you know, I get emails pretty much on a daily basis asking, you know, are there resources for people to go to? Is there, you know, there isn't enough happening, and we know that. So it's kind of trying to balance that frustration with just doing what we can do. I think
so. Yeah, so I think it's so important to mention your project and your movement, the Emerging Proud movement, and also this coming event in May, the 12th, when people will be there from around the world and be part of it. And I think it's important to maybe highlight the importance of that and the energy around that, Katie, if you wanna talk about that a bit.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I suppose when I started this, it wasn't really in direct relation to what we're doing with ISEN or with Crazy Wise for that matter. But it was so, you know, obviously they're so aligned. We have the same mission, so it just seems, you know, it's ridiculous to try and do something separate without collaborating on it all, and, you know, all being integrated and working towards the same thing. So yeah, it's just really to try and create a grassroots movement, to really try and create support services around the world for people to normalise spiritual experiences, and to harness the wisdom of those people that have been through it, to give them a voice, but also to, you know, to acknowledge that it's those people that have the ideas, it's those people that have been to connect with universal consciousness, the collective consciousness, and have that wisdom to bring back that's not recognised at the moment, and to give space for them to kind of bring that to the fore and to action, you know, whatever we need to do to create these safe spaces for people that are going through the transformation. And, you know, the open dialogue movement is brilliant. It's doing a lot in, you know, helping not to pathologize people so much. But from your work in the integral world, and, you know, the fact that we know so much now through the research about energy in the body, and how trauma is stuck energetically, and so much is about energy that's not really acknowledged or helped through cognitive therapy. You know, it needs to be more than that. We need more than that. We need to create community spaces where people can come and not just talk, but they can, you know, they can have alternative therapies, or they can express, scream, regress, whatever is needed without people freaking out, or, you know, just to be held to do that. This is something I wanted to talk to you about today, actually, and ask you more about, because you've got a lot of knowledge about developmental trauma and how that affects people and working with that. I just wondered if you would mind talking a bit, because we were speaking earlier about this, and I think it's really important to mention because it's come up a lot recently. I've spoken to a lot of people who, you know, in these interviews, who've talked about, you know, obviously we know now there's enough evidence to say that psychosis or altered states of consciousness or illnesses that are labelled psychosis or schizophrenia are not, you know, induced by a chemical imbalance in the brain or a broken brain or whatever. It's trauma, it's, you know, a broken heart, it's repressed, sometimes unconscious trauma, whether that's from childhood or pre-childhood.
Right.
So you have a lot of experience of working with this. I just wondered if you would talk a bit about your knowledge around this.
Sure. I think it's maybe to start with explain a bit integral psychology, what it means.
Please.
It's like, I think it's like looking at the Western psychology and also the Eastern traditions wisdom, and just to get that together and see that this kind of more complex picture, how this can help people more who are going through this process. That it seems to be that our Western psychology knowledge is maybe limited after a while to reach maybe more holistically a person. Because I think if you want to heal somebody holistically, that means a lot of different other aspects as well. It's also the human psyche, yes, the mind, but it's also the energy system of the person. It means a lot of other things which needs to be healed if we would like this person to come out of the process healthier, let's say, very simple like that. So I think as we are going through our childhood, we know that if this injury we are experiencing is earlier, the earliest creates more injuries in our human psyche. So this means that if we would like to reach those levels, we need to go down in the human psyche. And if we talk about this injury, the very early injuries, there is a person called Michael Balint who was talking about this, and it's called basic fault. It's really interesting to look at that from the point of view that if someone is having this so-called basic fault, then to have a cognitive therapy with the person, or just, let's say, chemically handle the situation, is probably not going to heal this very low level in the personality. So to go down to that level, we need some methods which are in connection with the subconscious, or working with the subconscious. And to go down, we need to work with those methods to be there. And that's one aspect of the healing of the person. And I think, yeah, go on.
Sorry, I was just going to ask you what sort of methods you would use to get there.
Yeah, I think there are some different methods usable on this very low level. One of them is symbol therapy, which there are some different types of that, but what you can use, or the hypnotherapy, the neurolinguistic therapy, which is working with this hypnotherapy part. So something which is really reaching the pre-verbal level.
You use breath work as well in your work?
It can be breath, yes, it can be breath work, and let's say not just the holotropic breath work, but there are some different types of breath works. But you can use the deviation breath work or breathing technique, which says that when you are experiencing a trauma, then to protect yourself as a child, you are trying to to somehow cope and survive. So this means that those emotions will be stuck in your body, somewhere in the body.
Okay.
And what we are doing with this breathing technique, when we get to that memory and it opens up, then the emotions are coming up, and we have this process to work with the emotions according to the breathing pattern of that emotion. We have the support coming out,
Release.
to release from this kind of stuckness. It's releasing it, and it's helping you to get this out.
Mm-hmm. This is reminding me actually of Sean Blackwell was talking about stuck trauma in relation to energy and Kundalini energy in the bioenergetic system. Is this? Would you agree that that's kind of what can cause pain when somebody's like waking up and experiencing Kundalini energy in the body, and sometimes it can bring excruciating pain? Would that be where the blockage is, the energetic trauma blockage? Yeah.
Yes. I think in Western psychology, what they say is like, if you have this somatization, like pain in your body, this means that you're not able to express this emotion or be with that emotion. So it's stuck in the body at some areas, and it's creating pain.
Mm-hmm.
And what I would add to that, which is coming more from the Eastern wisdom, is like when this energy is coming and from the spine is coming up, from the bottom to the top on your back and in the front, is basically coming up and it's trying to get through these blockages.
Mm-hmm.
And when it's working on those blockages, this is a concentrated energy on that blockage, and it's creating pain.
Mm.
So what actually we say is this pain is healing. The pain is something which is healing you. The pain is something good. The pain is not something bad.
The pain is something to listen to and take note of. And we've talked about this a lot, haven't we? About how pain and suffering is actually can be a blessing if we allow it to be. Yeah. It's also making me think about sometimes, the risks of just practicing Eastern or alternative therapies too, and say somebody having a lot of chakra balancing Reiki or something like that, but not being aware of that can bring up a lot of psychological trauma into consciousness. And actually, if a Reiki practitioner maybe isn't aware of that or taught about that and how to deal with it, then that can be dangerous in itself. So it's all about balance, isn't it? This is kind of where we're at, and what we're coming to with this, with the Emerging Proud campaign. It's about collective wisdom. It's about an integration of all approaches. It's about not saying one is correct and the only way. And that's what I love about your work in the integral world. And the little I've learned about it from you, it's like it brings everything together.
Yes, because we never know, when there is a trauma, then you can handle it from different aspects, because it's like this. Maybe the trauma is a chain, like a lot of similar events on that chain.
Mm-hmm.
And if you just heal from, let's say, from the perinatal point of view, like this means when someone is in the womb, can experience something. And then when you are born, you can experience something else. And then there's a chain. Mm-hmm. There is a chain. And it's like different traumas are on that very chain. And if you treat or heal that one, like we go to the womb with some techniques and work there on that. That's one aspect. That's one aspect only. So it's not going to heal the whole. It's just healing some part of it.
Yeah, that's so important.
Like a body work, for example, this is a beautiful technique as well. When you work with the body, Yeah.
Yeah, that makes so much sense, doesn't it, about why psychoses or psychotic episodes are recurring, because it's not like nobody has one trauma in their life and that's it. You know, it's like you say, it's particularly if you have early life trauma, you're more likely to have more and more ongoing trauma throughout your life. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fascinating. In reference to this, Rozalia, one thing I wanted to ask you about was your take on hearing voices, or, you know, having hallucinations, okay, so particularly talking about auditory hallucinations, and how, you know, the amazing new movement looking at this in regards to repressed trauma and the fact that, you know, it's our subconscious subpersonalities that may have split off during trauma, and, you know, those voices may be manifestations of our limiting beliefs or whatever it might be. But also, I think, you know, there's that missing aspect sometimes as well, is could the voices be something else? Could they be external as well? What's your take on that, like from an integral but also someone who's experienced a spiritual awakening point of view?
This is a very interesting question for sure, but you're asking a very exciting question. That it's probably again comes this holistic approach, or it's not just the holistic approach, but, you know, if I want to say it very simple, what is inside is outside. So if you are having in the subconscious some voices of your sub-personalities, you know, different parts of you, they are all having a monologue in our brain, which is from these different parts of us, different personalities, they all have different sub-personalities. So they are having a monologue. So whatever you are doing, there is one which says this, and the other one says that, and there is a conflict. And, you know, when I'm working with people, yeah, when we work with people, we just see that, you know, that these are the conflicts we are healing, you know, in the relationships, you know, the interpersonal relationships, we are healing all these kind of conflicts which are coming from, you know, maybe from your mother. So one of the voice is your mother's voice, and the other one is your father's voice. And, you know, there's a lot of different ones which you internalize, let's say. You know, you heard it so much, it's part of your belief system, and it also has a voice, and it's affecting you, what you are doing. So it's like they are there, they're talking all the time. And I think if someone is really in this very sensitive state, they are more conscious about this dialogue. But we all have that. We all have this. But they are more conscious about that. And it's all in the mind at once. And I think that's very important to understand when we are going through this transformative crisis. Then all of the content of the subconscious are up on a conscious level, or let's say a lot, not everything, because then probably we couldn't handle that at all, but let's say a lot, much more than normally would be there. So we are in an open, very sensitive state, they're all up and they're having all this dialogue. So it's like, you know, how to achieve that they talk to each other and connect with each other, and then how to have healing. So when you have all these, this has certain type of energy, you know, each of them has energies. And when I said inside, outside, you know, that what is resonating to that energy, what you are expressing through that part of you can and probably will attract energies from outside as well. You know, like when we just say simply, you know, dark energies, we say, oh, the dark side of me, you know, like, oh, something really bad. I think it can have some archetypal energy, what I'm attracting with that as well, which is, I think it was a very important part of Jung's work, for example, to work with these archetypal energies. And I think when we are opening up, we are opening up to this world, then we are going to face much more than just the reality we think is a reality. There's much more out there.
Yeah, this is reminding me about my time in Brazil and how they're talking about, obviously, when somebody's in trauma and they're resonating at a lower vibration, they can attract darker spirits that feed off energy, and there's a lot of talk about that. But the thing that is really, I find really fascinating about what you're saying, and how we kind of approach this type of stuff in the spiritual emergence networks, is anything is possible to heal, or we can change this situation. And I think something that is often overlooked within the spiritual field is being victim to these dark energies and feeling like you can't do anything about it.
Yes.
And I think that can also be used sometimes as an excuse, actually, that, I'm not responsible, I can't do anything about this. Whereas we can, and it's not not consciously as an excuse, but, feeling victim to these things, whereas actually you can, it's about healing your own inner stuff as well, which then raises your vibration, which changes what you attract.
But it's so important. It's so important what you just raised with this question, actually, because we need to understand that what we are experiencing on the so-called spiritual level, what we are experiencing there, like what you said, that I can't face these dark energies and I'm just a victim of that. This is exactly what you experienced when you were a child. It's like if you are experiencing something here, we have on the personal, very early childhood level, the version of that. And that's what activates here as well.
So if
it's activated, it's activated your very early childhood traumas and what you experienced there, that you're a victim and you can't help yourself. And at that time it was true. You were a child.
Of course, yeah. Yeah. Okay. That's really interesting. So, yeah, it's kind of like a pattern repeating, as in spiral dynamics.
Yes.
Patterns.
It's a character. So, yeah, it's your character, which is like developing on a like a spiral. There is always like a middle line, or I don't know how to say that, and the spiral is around that, but your character is always there and it's going to have the same pattern. What happens is that this pattern is going through healing. So from experiencing this victim on a let's say lower level, you can say a victim who is like there and can't do anything, and whatever happens is happening to me. If we are healing this character, this can be on a higher level. If you look at Mother Teresa, or who is devoting her life to people, serving people, that's on a high level, the same character basically. So nobody is hopeless. Nobody is like, oh, you are lost. And if you are going through this healing, your character will not change from that point of view, that the pattern is there, the core is there, but it's going to go through a healing. And how you are experiencing it is going to be very different, and how you are bringing that to the world is very different. And that's the beauty of this work, I think. Beauty of the healing work.
Wow, yeah, it's all about perspective, isn't it? Same as what's happening in the world at the moment. We can see it as absolute disaster and, we're doomed, or we can see it as this had to happen. It's the crisis, the breakdown, the shattering of illusion that we needed to heal the world. And look at the amazing things that it's doing to bring people together. And that wasn't happening before. So, Yeah, there's so many, and that doesn't mean to say it's great and it's, you know, it's not horrendous, because obviously it is. But there's so much out there, isn't there, to say that, you know, we are creating our reality. So if we change our perspective and how we look at things, then we're going to affect how the outcome of that. So
Yes.
What's your take on the big picture, on what's happening in humanity, Rozalia?
Such a small little question.
I asked Joel this today. So, what's happening in the world? What's happening with the human evolution?
Such a little easy question.
I know, sorry.
Yeah. I think actually what I've just seen recently, Cam Wilber was actually just, I think, put on Facebook, and basically I think it's an article about this, which I really like, and it's really beautiful from the integral point of view to explain what is happening now. Or if I just tell my opinion on my perspective, is I think this kind of let's say aggressivity, if we look at it from that point of view, what we see now is kind of fundamentalist or very aggressive energies around the world, which is what I think is a way of healing. You know, that it's like I think R.D. Lang had this quote. He said that this is an insane world, and to be insane is a very logical answer to this insane world. To be like, it's really insane. The systems we created, and people are more and more frustrated, and they are not happy, and you know, we try to create some systems and processes and procedures, and basically it looks like we are not happy with it. So a lot of suppressed anger are there waiting to explode. And I think that's the explosion now. The explosion is out there as we know it from our everyday life, and we have a problem. It's somebody. We kind of, you know, trying to suppress this anger, and it comes out. That's the only way to heal that relationship. That's the only way to improve from there or go to the next step. If you don't do that, it's going to cause you more pain or even illness, or, you know, it's working in you. It's going to work against you inside. It's basically the anger, the suppressed anger is probably one of the worst things we can do with ourselves or to ourselves. So it's like,
and to each other.
And
because it's inauthentic, isn't it?
Yeah. But it's also in the air somehow, and the other one will feel it anyway. So so it's like, I think what's happened is like this explosion is out there now, and how I'm looking at it is like, let's see then, you know, if it's out there now, let's see the next step, you know, towards healing.
Yeah, that's a really good way of looking at it, isn't it? It's like the argument before the makeup, you know. Hopefully the makeup is the next bit. It's I've learned a lot about this from you over the last year, about the green shadow, and kind of, you know, how this suppressed anger that we've kind of created through this movement of, you know, trying to create no hierarchy, trying to create democracy, which looks lovely on the surface, but actually harbours so much darkness, because everybody's trying not to hurt each other and suppressing how they really feel, which actually makes things a lot worse and causes, I wrote about this in my book actually, about having like, I can't remember how I termed it, having bombs under the surface that, you know, waiting to explode. And it's true. I suppose it's just like how many people are going to get harmed or killed in those explosions whilst it's happening, isn't it? If we can be aware.
And I think yes. because I think it's important in our development process as well, that as we know, when we work with somebody, you know, in a therapeutic work, for example, then we know that the regressive state is part of the healing. You know, when at certain times we go back to those memories, which are really early times, we go back, and then it can result a regressive state for that person for a temporary period of time. It's like, I think it's a bit how I see this, you know, like we are in a regressive state to heal something, and then come up from there, maybe to end up on a higher level as a result of that. So I think it's an opportunity, and I can also feel the frustration and anger because of that. I understand that as well.
Yeah.
But it's also maybe an opportunity. Yeah. You know, like in the crisis, there is always the chance for healing, and it's always like, it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity.
I think what you said earlier about like being aware of the voice, the different conflicting voices in our head, but being able to hold center with them. So like knowing that it's absolutely horrendous and painful and people are getting really hurt, and, you know, but also if you can hold on to the fact that this is part of a process, then that makes that so much easier to bear.
It's also interesting, the shadow aspect, you know, when we are trying to manage a life where anger is suppressed, so basically in the shadow, and then someone is embodying a shadow, you know, that's a role.
We won't mention names, but I think everyone will probably know who you're talking about right now.
Yes.
Sorry, America.
Yes. So I think if I see this, then I see like a shadow embodied.
Yeah.
You know, like it's an opportunity for people to also release their anger. You know, like
because
it's there.
He is the target of a lot of people's unexpressed anger. So, and it's like that. Yeah. It's an excuse to let it out, isn't it? Yeah.
This is what I mean, that we can heal if we are able to now face this part of us and work with it, and it's an opportunity to grow from there. It's not easy. It's not easy, though. I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
I know.
No. Yes, I think, you know, bringing wholeness to whatever we do is like probably one of the most important things that we've learned to do together as well over the last year, really. And it's been amazingly healing and liberating, and, you know, the fact that we're now kind of learning to do that with a group of people through the spiritual emergence networks around the world is beautiful, actually. And I've never ever experienced that before in a work setting. It's like, it doesn't feel like work because we're just being who we are completely.
And as you're talking about the connection between people, it's probably the most important thing. And just now we refer back to the first sentence of where we started today, to come to this connection. And I think that's why it's so important, this event, what you are organizing, Katie, the International Emerging Proud Day collaboration with ISAN and Crazy Wise, and hopefully some other beautiful organizations will join as well. So that's about connections.
It is. And that's how our future's got to be. It's the only way, isn't it? It's the only way, because none of us have the answers, but together we do. And beyond
so this open space, for example, what you have chosen for this event, it's about connections as well.
Yes. So you're going to host the Hub Open Space. in Guernsey, which I'm so grateful for. And would you just explain a little bit about how that works?
Sure, I'm so excited about that. I think it's really beautiful to get people together from all around the world and with different backgrounds, and some people are maybe coming from the psychiatry side, some people are service users, some people are coming from financial backgrounds. All of these people are together for one purpose, to think about it. What is the solution? How can we make a change? It's beautiful.
In Redefining Madness. So yeah, thank you to Paris Williams for allowing us to use that title, Rethinking Madness, and how we can work with people in a much more productive, supportive way.
Yes, so it's going to be a very different event from any other conferences what we are used to. You know, when you just go there and you sit down and listen to others, how they are sharing their knowledge with you. No, here you are part of the happening.
Yeah.
You are engaged. Everybody who is coming is important.
Yeah. Yes.
That someone is coming because of a reason, that we need you to be there because you are needed for a purpose, to be there and be yourself and share your knowledge.
Yes.
And they are all equally important. And we are going to work on this. What are the next steps? And we are going to follow up later. What is happening? What are the initiatives? What is growing out of that? To really make a change in this world. So I really hope that a lot of people can come. The Open Space Method is working with, up to 1,000 people on certain events. So I really hope that more people will come, like as many as possible, to make this happen.
It's really exciting. My mind's a bit blown right now about how big this has become, but it's not just a conference. It's not a conference day. It's the start of a movement, and it's not my movement. It's the universe's movement. It's the next thing that's just needed. We need to now re-embrace this sixth sense, this just wholeness of as humans that we've pushed aside, that we've forgotten in this technological era, and just re-embrace that again and come back and connect, not just virtually, in person. Yes.
So I think it's important to say that you are the mother of this.
I'm having it's really important. Pains right now. I'm petrified with labour.
And just to share that, how many countries?
Yeah, we have six so far. We have 6 so far. So we're having Guernsey is now the host country. We're having the main hub in Guernsey because it felt only right, because that's going to be the home for ISEN, and the community is so wonderful and embracing of and open to this subject. So we already have Mind, the charity, on board, and the outcome, actually that's one thing I wanted to say, the outcomes of a couple of the Crazy Wise workshops that I've run has been exactly the same thing. Really interesting that people have just wanted to collaborate, create community spaces where people can come, have a safe space just to journey through their trauma, to connect with others in a social way, but in a supportive way, and to receive lots of different alternative therapies. It just feels like we are coming back to kind of tribal communities. It's so beautiful, and it's interesting. It's like each time people have said exactly the same thing. It just shows, I think that's what we're tapping into at the moment. So we have Guernsey, we have the UK in London, we have New York in the US, we have Brazil, we have Uganda, and we have Hungary, of course.
Yes. Yes.
So yeah, a couple of more possibilities as well, but we shall see. So information will be coming out soon, and there's so much more I kind of want to talk to you about and share with people, Rozalia, but I'm sure we can do that over time, and people will get to know you more now. I think obviously ISEN is going to be kind of more public in the next few months, and we're going to be working on developing a crisis guide next, so that will hopefully be out by the May event, so in time to distribute to people who might be in crisis and needing support. So yes, if there are any potential sponsors out there, then it would be
looking forward.
Yes, much appreciated. If you'd like to put your name to the international film or the crisis guide or whichever kind of resonates, then we would be overjoyed for some support.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for your work, Kitty.
Oh, thank you, Rozalia. Yeah, I mean, I think, people don't know because you are so behind the scenes, but your dedication is absolutely astounding. I've never known anybody give so much, without people knowing. No, so thank you so much.
Thank you.
Look forward to working with you for an eternity.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, see you soon. Bye.
Yeah.
See ya.